we're live. How's everybody doing tonight? Baby Boomer, what's going on? Charles, what's going on? I'm going to apologize in advance if I blow my nose or cough or whatever, because this flu stuff just does not want to go away at all. It sucks. So, Northern Grit, what's going on? How's everybody doing tonight? Renegade, what's going on? Oh. Polo, what's going on? Chrysler Technician, thoughts on Mac hand tools. Their sockets are decent. Their wrenches are, I think they're redesigning them, but they're Mac made wrenches are very polarizing as far as the shape of them. They're real squared off and they're kind of not that comfortable in the hand. Quality wise, they're good. Of course, I talked a lot about their Precision Torque or whatever their name for their rebranded wrenches are, which were really good. Their ratchets are good. I did not like, I have a Mac ratchet, and the biggest problem for me was the grip. The grip was just way too small. I mean, it is tiny in comparison to pretty much everybody else's grip. The ratchet mechanism was great. So overall, they're good tools. Their expert line is Taiwanese, probably by the same quality for somewhere else, and have the same kind of ease of warranty, but that's the tools themselves are good. Chrysler Tech also says, I only buy off the truck because I hate driving so far for warranty. Yeah, no, I mean that's video that goes live tomorrow. I talk a little bit about that because people, anytime I talk about Matco, it's rebranded. Duh. I was buying because my Matco dealer at the time, Robbie, was really good. He took care of me. And, so I wanted to take care of him. And, anything that I thought would fail, it'd be something I would want to be able to just hand off. Driving somewhere to get warranty tools sucks. Having to go through the process of warranty them online can kind of suck. But, that's your mileage will vary on that. What's up, learning with Juan? Foxbox, what's going on? James Sykes, hey buddy, been keeping track of your videos. I love your heating and AC video. I've been complaining about that for years. It's terrible everywhere. Yeah. The teens drove that home to me. It's just, I don't understand why it's so poorly done in shops. It's like, it's an afterthought. I talked about the old shop back in the day. He literally didn't install heat at all. It was a complete afterthought that the shop would need heat. And his contractors should have kind of said, you need to put heat in here. But, yeah, it's just so poorly designed. I mean, I generally in the winter wear a sweatshirt under my uniform shirt and rarely wear a coat. I'm pretty hot, and Georgia doesn't get really that cold. So normally, I'll go out, get a car, test drive it in a sweatshirt and a shirt. The problem is standing working in a bay next to a heater, you sweat. And, you know, the old joke back in the day when we had the waste oil heaters at that shop was like the one tech that was in the last bay, he'd be sweating too in the last bay because of the way the air currents worked, and it would just bake that one corner. And he's like, can we turn the heat off? Like, dude, I keep telling you, if you're hot, turn it off because I'm melting. But I didn't want to turn it off because, you know, everybody else, you know, anybody on the rest of the shop would be cold. So Jeff L. Mac Tools I find is better than Snap-on. I don't have a lot of Mac sockets, but I have never had any too much trouble with their tools at all. So Chrysler Technician, I only asked because I just got a Mac dealer. I have Matco and Snap-on, but finally got a Mac dealer. They've got some cool stuff. You know, they bring out some stuff, you know, regularly. So Northern Grid, I just ordered an X-Tool D8 scanner, cheap now because the new version is out. I hope it's good. It is good. It pretty much does everything an Autel will do cheaper. I don't know, you know, how long the tablet itself will last because I've had problems with Autel tablets. I've never really had a problem with Autel software other than when the stuff doesn't work, but that's any Chinese manufacturer is going to have that problem. But no, it's a good tool. You'll be happy with it. It just, you got to get used to the Autel way of doing things, just like whether if you switch to Launch or you go from Snap, you know, most of the problem is when you go from like Snap-on to any of the Chinese manufacturers, things are in there very different and they're not always anywhere near as easy to find. But a lot of times if you just poke around, you will find what you need. Foxbox, I always buy store brands for diagonal cutters. Easy to swing by Home Depot or Lowe's whenever I use them to cut something I shouldn't, LOL. I bought KNIPEX off Matco years ago after I destroyed my old set of KNIPEX and just hand it back to them. They'll warranty them. Positivity Incarnate, what's going on? James Sykes, I complained about getting another heater last winter. They said they would give us another one and never did. Yeah, unfortunately, it's, you know, that's a constant problem. I mean, you know, the joke is that would cut into their, you know, jacuzzi budget or whatever, you know, but it's, I don't know what kind of store you work for, but yeah, that kind of stuff sucks. You know, a comfortable tech is more productive. You know, if you're sitting there shivering, trying to work, you know, you come in the morning and, you know, you go to grab a tool and it's just ice cold, just sucks. I can tell you that. Learning with Juan. Hey. Chris Storback, is religion, faith, discussion acceptable at work, your channel? I don't get into religion or politics on my channel. I generally don't. Politics at work, religion at work can be problematic. You know, I'm outspoken in a lot of things. I try to, especially with coworkers, keep my mouth shut. But I've never had any religion, faith problems, you know, in the workplace. So I know nobody has, you know, kibosh that kind of stuff. Renegade's Garage. All the tool trucks have some nice candy in them. Usually. We had a Snap-on dealer. I think all he had was just Tootsie Rolls, and they were old and nasty. Tools, not candy. Yeah. Hey, you know, they put candy on the truck to get you on the truck. James Sykes, I don't care for the auto because of the Chinese software. I love my Snap-on scan tool for because I'm used to it and have the guided component tenants. Just got a brand new Varus fully updated for a steel. Well, that's good. I've never Snap-on to this day still has the best graphing of any aftermarket scan tool. Period. None. Fight me. It just does. If you need graphing a lot, like if I need to graph a bunch of PIDs, I still grab the Snap-on. But you know, and yes, it's easier to use. The limitations are the limitations of the tool is what's not there. And that can be kind of sucky. But yeah, no, I 100% agree. Snap-on tools are much more user-friendly. James Sykes, absolutely. A comfortable tech is worth more as long as you're good. Yeah. You can do all the metrics you want. There's tons of research on this. You know, if your techs are comfortable, any employee, if they're comfortable, relaxed, they're more productive. It's just how it is. So yeah, no, if your techs are freezing in their bays or sweltering in the heat, they're gonna be less productive, especially the heat. Which is, you know, I didn't understand the joys of working in air conditioning until I worked in air conditioning, which still was problematic, but a lot better than working in a 100-degree shop. But yeah, no, it is nice to have proper HVAC. And it's sad that HVAC is not a higher priority. Charles Johnstone, I work at Christian Brothers. You know, I know several techs that work at Christian Brothers and they're happy. And I know I just got an email from a kid that worked at a Christian Brothers that was getting treated like junk. And, you know, they got rid of their waiter oil change tech. So I guess they replaced them because they only had one bay each. So they were having to literally push cars out to pull in a waiter oil change, stuff like that. So, James Sykes, we work on cars and often aren't real friends. Keep it professional level friends. Yeah. Positivity Incarnate. How do you determine what tools you need or should get or should look to get once you have the general C-Tech, B-Tech tools like common wrenches and stuff? Keep an eye when you're working day to day. Keep, you know, just when you're working on a car and there's something you could do faster, easier with the right tool, or borrowing tools. If you borrow a tool 3 times, buy it. Especially more common tools, you know, like you're in a C-Tech level, you're not going to be borrowing engine, tools or stuff like that. But if you're constantly doing the same kind of job, that's a tool you need to look at investing. Like if you're just sitting there with a Torx screwdriver taking an air filter off, look at getting an impact gun and long impact driver bits. Just stuff like that. That's really just pay attention to what you do day to day. Excuse me. And look and see what tools would improve that. Because as you build that, that's where you'll get more and more tools that you use. A lot of young technicians go out and buy stuff that, oh man, the tech next to me has this and he loves it. And it sits in your drawer. It doesn't do a lot of good. So analyze the jobs you do. And, as you see more and more difficult repairs, you'll see more and more times you'll need those tools. Invest in, swivel sockets or swivel extensions or swivel, joints is something that, you know, you'll invest in as you grow. But that's really the best things I can say is just use the, you know, tools that you see you have a need for. Rich, when I was a service manager, I found that the gas bill didn't go up very much leaving the heat on at night. Keep the heat on. I mean, yes. Any decently half insulated building, you're better off maintaining temperature rather than trying to bring it up to temperature. It's, you know, look at your oven. You know, go and turn your oven on to 450, and how long does it take to get it to temperature? Well, it was sitting there at ambient, and now it has to get up to 450. I'm using an obvious example that's stretched, but, you know, it gets up to 450, and, you know, it takes 20 minutes or however long your oven takes to get to there. Well, then go in there after it's reached 450, put it up to 500. Takes a couple minutes at most. And that's what happens. Like, don't turn your air conditioning or your heat off at the house. But almost every shop owner always turns the heat off at night. And it just, you know, the old shop, he had everything on Nest thermostats, and they were set to automatically shut off. And, you know, but that building also wasn't insulated either. Like, it was plywood and roofing. So, James, it's a shame everyone I tend to work with doesn't want to learn. I end up being the shop foreman everywhere, diag guy. Yeah, no, it's I've run into that several times. And everybody blames generations. I've run into this my entire career about techs that just are happy where they're at. They don't want to learn anything new. They're happy doing what they're doing, and that's as far as they want to go. And it's sad, but if they don't have the motivation, they're not going to get the motivation unless something changes in them. Something clicks one day and they go, oh, this is really interesting. I want to look into this more, investigating, you know. I'm going to use the example of pulling out a scope. Pulling out a scope, you know, a lot of, you know, techs even nowadays are like, you're wasting your time. You can do that with a scan tool, you know, whatever. But you start, you know, that tech comes over there, sees that scope, sees what you're doing, sees what you're really diagnosing instead of, you know, going on interpreted data from an ECM. Sometimes has been the trigger to get them to invest in themselves and start training. But very rare. Foxbox, can somebody explain A, B, and C Tech? What's the difference? C Tech is, and this is a very broad definition. C Tech is your oil change, tires, batteries, quick services, basic repairs, brakes, stuff like that. Your B Tech is going to be a basic diagnostic tech, meaning they can diagnose basic repairs, basic problems. Sorry, excuse me. Mainly going to be heavier repairs, difficult repairs, like, you know, doing timing chains, doing timing belts, transmissions, engines, much, you know, more complex repairs than a C-Tech. An A-Tech is going to be able to do everything below and the advanced level diagnostics, you know, up to including maybe rebuilding transmissions, rebuilding engines. He's going to be the most advanced guy. That's the simplest way to put it. Just good, better, and best, I guess. You know, not don't take that the wrong way that I'm crapping on B-Techs or C-Techs. It's just the hierarchy of a tech in the world. I think it's usually poorly used. You know, I think, you know, general service tech, line tech and, the diagnostic tech is a much more realistic hierarchy than A, B, and C, but that's kind of what the manufacturers used years ago, and it just has stuck around. Northern Grid. I started working an Elite Independent about 8 months ago. I got pressured to get a new box because mine was green and they wanted only red or black. What? I wish I would have known this. I've got a video coming out that talks about weird management requests. That would have been a good one to put in the video. That's crazy. That they're wanting you to buy a new toolbox because it doesn't match their color scheme. Yeah, that's nuts. I mean, I would definitely push back on that. Because the whole point of having your own toolbox is being able to have your own toolbox, as in personalized. That's crazy. King Duckford. Seems like everyone nowadays believes that what is bad for the employee must be good for me. People are people. James Sykes. Sometimes money is worth suffering the lack of HVAC. Yes. I suffered for years in shops that were poorly heated. Well, kind of still do. But it is what it is in this industry. That video was not revolutionary information. It is well documented how bad shop HVAC is. But yeah, no, it's sometimes, James, just the way of the world. Kind of. All right. Got to get back to where I was. Tubro, what's a better place for learning how to work on cars, a dealership or an independent shop? Depends where you start. A dealership, if you start scratch, no training whatsoever, a dealership is a really good way to get a lot of your fundamentals through the dealer training system. They'll send you to class, they'll online classes, and they will teach you a lot of the fundamentals. Going to an independent shop is going to vary much more depending on the shop environment itself. Unfortunately, a lot of shops don't want to train young techs. Now, once you're got all the basic training, an independent shop is going to be a much better place for a more well-rounded technician. You don't get trapped into the, pattern failures of that car model. That is a huge problem at dealerships, is pattern failure. Pattern recognition is probably one of the greatest skills a dealership technician can have, is, oh, that code is that. Whereas an independent shop is not anywhere near as familiar with every make and model, may not know those idiosyncrasies, and will have to learn how to test. Whereas a dealership technician, they can talk to their buddy and go, yeah, it's that. And it, 90% of the time it is that. The other 10% is what kicks their butts because they actually have to do testing. So that's my opinion on that. Is just Renegade's garage. Worked in AC. I'm in Florida, and an AC in the garage would be so nice. Yeah. Yeah, no, it's nicer than working in no AC. Let me put it that way. My old shop, their AC was not designed the greatest. I talked about it in that video, but some AC is better than no AC every day of the week. James, I know a few Christian brothers that don't like the place for the politics. You have to remember something. Christian Brothers is a franchise. So every franchisee is going to be very different. And I have seen that extensively. I will tell a story about Christian Brothers. Back when I worked for Challenger Lifts, Challenger Lifts is, I believe, still the exclusive lift manufacturer for Christian Brothers. So I believe almost all the Christian Brothers have Challenger lifts in them. And I was with the VP at Challenger in Atlanta, actually, traveling, and we were going to see some of the Christian Brothers stores here in Atlanta because he wanted to check on something or other, because a distributor was building another store or something like that. But anyway, we go in this shop, and every lift in the shop had the safeties deactivated. Everyone in the shop was deactivated. Not because the technicians were lazy, but because every one of the locks was broken. And the VP informed me to fix every one of those lift safety mechanisms, reinstate it, and got yelled at by the owner of the shop, who then got a call from Christian Brothers talking about how unsafe his shop was. From my understanding, he had a lift technician in there in like 2 days, and they fixed all the lifts. But that is the thing, is it is very different, Christian Brothers to Christian Brothers. It's like going from, an independent Goodyear to a corporate Goodyear. You can't really compare because they're very different. I don't think there's a lot of independent Goodyears anymore, but just an example. Chris, hope you feel better. Speaking of tools, the one between your ears is the best to upgrade. Yeah, what's the best training available to a tech from 1 to 5 year journeyman phase? Honestly, a lot of the tool, not the tool, but a lot of the Napa, O'Reilly store, part store classes are really good for those beginning techs, those early techs, because they go over so much of the basics of each system, like air conditioning. They're cheap for the shop, first off. They're after hours, they get some free food, whatever. But, they go in there, and it's really good fundamental training, and it's not real expensive for the shop. That would be where I would send a young technician. Sending somebody, that young in the industry to like Vision or something like that, you're probably not getting your money worth out of it for their training, because a lot of it's going to overwhelm them. When I was at STX, 2022, I think it was, I was in a weird 3-phase fuel pump class, and he was going very deep. And I was actually with a technician that worked at the Volkswagen dealership with the humble mechanic, and he was overwhelmed. He was a younger technician. He'd paid his way to go to, or the dealership had paid him to go to STX, I believe, something like that. But he was overwhelmed. I'm not going to lie. I was, it made my brain hurt being in that class. Good stuff, but made my brain hurt. But that's where I would send them, is your local training classes that, the parts stores have. Just good basic training to help them build on those fundamentals. Nate Lawson, sorry I haven't been keeping up. Are you back to work? Yes. Any videos in shop coming? No. I will no longer film in a shop that I do not control. Having the situation with the old shop, I'm not filming in a shop anymore. I just can't. I can't have the politics. I also have made some enemies in a certain management group that I don't need harassing my current employer. So I don't want any anything getting out of where I work because I don't want them harassing my current boss. If you know what I mean. James Sykes, yes. Buy the tool if you borrow it eventually, yes. Yeah, definitely. Mike, evening everyone. Have you used the Snap-on Torx wobble extensions? I saw them. You got them a while back, and curious to know your opinion of them. Yeah, don't buy them. Do not buy them. They are way too shallow. Snap-ons, Torx sockets are freaking awesome. Those extensions suck. They're very low engaging on the fastener. Like I got it to do the oil filter housings, like the BMW oil filter housings where there's one Torx under the intake that if you have the right tool, you don't have to take the intake off, make bank. Order new bolts because chances are you're going to have to extract that one. Waste of money. They were a complete waste of money. You're welcome, Positivity. James Sykes, 13 Focus is eating a fuel pump every 6 months. Pressure violently fluctuates from 30 to 110 and spec is 70. Sorry, I should have hit the mute button, not the cuss button. Yeah, that's that I'd be leaning more towards a fuel pump control module or the pressure sensor than the PCM. I'd look at commanded pressures versus an actual. Commanded should tell you if it's being commanded to that pressure or if it's just sitting there. I'm not familiar. Low pressure on that one. I'm not sure. No, there's no pressure sensor on that one. Is there? No, I don't think so. Yeah, if it's got a fuel pump control module, it should have a pressure sensor, but yeah, no, I'd be looking hard at the fuel pump control module or something like that on that. That seems weird that it's fluctuating that much when it should just be hanging around spec. Did you check for any kinked lines? Pressure lines that are kinked or something like that. Did you inspect all the lines? That'd be another thing to look at. James Sykes, I belong young guys too. I'm old. LOL. I do my best to be a teacher. Yeah, I mean, it's teaching young kids. My daughter is actually actively going to be a teacher. She's currently in training to be, still in college, but she's training to be a tutor at a local school. And we're having a discussion about that is because, she's having to teach the school's way, not necessarily her way. And I was talking about my approach to teaching and excuse me, tailoring how you teach somebody has to be tailored to that person. Like showing certain people is how you have to teach them. You can sit there and point at a wiring diagram and, say test for 12 volts with a test light here. It's not going to register with them. Excuse me. You have to go to the car. You have to hook up the test light and show them how to do it. And it clicks with them. Whereas other people, you go here, test this part right here, and they just get it and they move on. So you have to tailor how you teach to each individual student. and that's a skill in itself. It's something I've had to learn how to do, is because everybody learns different, and one person who learns this way may not learn that way. Sorry, I told you the flu sucks. So yeah, no, do your best. I mean, it's very rewarding to teach somebody a new skill that they can pick up and learn. And James also loves using his scope. Running behind here. Turbro, can I work at a shop only doing a certain thing that I'm specialized doing, like only suspension? Engines are doing everything. Depends extremely much on the shop. Some shops love to pigeonhole people. If you go into a shop and they're looking for a suspension guy or whatever, skill you have that they really are interested in, they will hire you in a heartbeat for just that. But a lot of shops really don't like, a lot of other shops don't like specialty. So they want you to be able to do everything. And, there's good and bad to both things. I talked about it in a video a while ago, but if somebody enjoys a certain type of job, I always try to give them that certain type of job as not reward, but here I give you this crap ticket. Here's a nice ticket for you, to even out their work. I mean, that was one of the things I've talked about many times is, the diag tech that's getting his butt kicked every, day in, day out, he's going to get frustrated. He's, if he's flat rate, he's going to probably not be making a lot of money. And, if you're signing tickets and all you're doing is giving him crap after crap after crap, give him some easy stuff, even out his life a little bit. So, I mean, like I said, you're just going to have to, Turbo, you're just going to have to find a shop that is looking for a tech like that. But yes, it does exist. Matt, my shop will be over insulated and I have heat floors, air conditioning. The Challenger lift is a great lift while my shop is being built, taking care of shop management classes, automotive training. That's awesome, dude. Yeah, you can't not spend there's insulation is always a good investment. James Sykes, I feel like the trans rebuild guy is a totally different animal and tools. Yes, very much so. Especially nowadays, they're getting less and less of them. But yeah, they are a very different breed. Everything mechanic. My last tool purchase were the Hyper Steps through Matco. They are awesome drill bits. Renegade, my son bought a 68-inch Epic toolbox. A couple months later, they made everyone there take their toolboxes home and supplied them with Snap-on classic boxes, all blue. That sucks. George Floyd, a dealership strangles the life out of you, and independent is like a breath of fresh air. I'm not going to disagree with that statement. I'm guessing that was for the training, starting training early on. I didn't say he should stay there. I said it was a good place to get the fundamental training. Chris Storback, God bless the independent shop. Yes. Positive Incarnate. What is better to learn? Electrical diag. Pure experience. Screw around and find out. YouTube classes, apprenticeship, outside electrical experience. You have to know the fundamentals. Scanner Danner talks about the fundamentals. You have to know how a circuit works. That has to come from classwork YouTube. that kind of stuff. You just can't learn how, what that symbol on the wiring diagram means, without searching it and figuring out how that circuit works with training. And it's available on YouTube on Scanner Danner's channel. Once you have the fundamentals down, you understand how circuits work, how, pull up circuits work, pull down circuits work. The electrical stuff is just figuring that stuff out and figuring out a way to test it. So after you have the fundamentals, the best way to learn it after that is to do. Your book learning is great. Until you do it, you won't understand it as deeply as doing it. So once you have those fundamentals, you need to start doing it. So that's the best way to do it, is learn the fundamentals through YouTube or reading or whatever, and then apply it. And apply it as much as you possibly can. Screw around and find out. Because trust me, that's the best way you will ever learn, is doing it. James, I've seen your channel grow from the beginning. Thanks for your content. I can't stay tonight for your live, but would love to chat sometimes on the phone. Keep it up, Grows. These guys need you. James, I appreciate it very much. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Enoch, you always say buying Milwaukee from Amazon has no warranty, but my Milwaukee Service Center uses serial number or receipt for warranty. Serial number tends to get rubbed off a lot. But if you buy it through a unauthorized Milwaukee distributor, meaning they bought it from somebody that is a Milwaukee authorized distributor, they have the right to deny your warranty. That's the whole reason for that, is most Milwaukee tool resellers are not authorized Milwaukee resellers. Meaning they don't buy directly from Milwaukee. Home Depot, a lot of the more prevalent on YouTube Milwaukee retailers are Milwaukee authorized resellers. But once you get outside of those authorized ones, it's up in the air whether or not it'll get warranted. And it usually depends on when, for instance, when the original reseller listed it as sold, because I've heard it's just out of time on a warranty. So you take your chances with that. I warn, I can't, you can buy it from Amazon and see what happens. Everything mechanic, both, I hate when that happens. Both hands on everything mechanic, both hands on learning from experience and getting burnt. But YouTube helps to be able to see ideas on cars you haven't seen yet. Yes. Experience does not, it just cannot be replaced. It doesn't matter who you do. You have to actually, apply your knowledge. And until you do, it's just thoughts. Jonathan Campos, what's a good pressure tester in your opinion for coolant? I've used the Matco air pressure tester for years now. That's my go-to. Stamp makes a good one. Astro has a kit that's pretty decent. The coupler on it tends to go bad. And don't be careful with the adapters. They do tend to shatter. But those are pretty good as well. But I stick to the Matco pressure tester. Stamp makes the same hand one. You can buy it from Stamp on Amazon. Also good. Turboro, I've seen luxury brands like the higher expensive ones with higher techs and make them get a box of their color schema in order to work for them. That'd be a no. A a lot of places that have color schemes usually provide toolboxes, but maybe not. I don't know. Renegade, torque that like button. I appreciate Renegade. Enoch, I went to automotive school for 2 years in Canada. I was confused when my classmates failed their math test. It was mostly 7th, 8th, 9th review. And was told by the teacher that the class was made easier since too many people failed the course. How did they graduate high school? I'm not even going there. Going back to my generation, when I was in high school, I was in the college prep trajectory. I was young and stupid and thought I could afford college. My guidance counselor didn't explain to me about, Pell Grants or, loans or anything like that. And I was like, how much what? I can't afford that. So I changed where I was going, but, in my generation, anybody that was stupid was pushed towards the trades. Obviously, we know automotive is not for stupid people. You want to deal with CAN networks and LIN networks, etc. You're gonna need to know a little bit. So, that was what my generation was told. If you're stupid, go get a trade. Go be a plumber or something. Guess that says something about me, but anyway. Technically, guidance didn't push me towards auto repair. Life did that. But anyway. In Ontario, there's 3 levels of apprenticeship. Going to school gives you 2 levels. Yeah, I've talked to Clyde. He used to have an automotive channel. Now he has a political channel, but I did an interview with him on his channel years ago, and we talked about that because it was like a 2 or 3 hour interview we did. That was early on in my channel. Rich, I was the go-to guy in the shop to fix problems on flat rate, change towns, kept my head down, made twice as much. It's funny how that happens with Diag guys. Daniel BC, what should I do? I'm trying to apply for jobs at the dealership for an entry-level technician, have no mechanical experience, but have a lot of cosmetics like interior work. Talk to the shop manager. Go in there, talk to the shop manager. I want to learn, get me in here and I'll, sell yourself as wanting to be a good asset. Just try to sell yourself on being enthusiastic and wanting to get into the industry and convince them of that. Is the best advice I can give you. Chris, are you willing to forgive your previous ESO? Yeah, I don't care about him at all. Chris, I am so happy to not be working there. I can't tell you how happy I am to not be working there. Is that management group evil? They do some scummy stuff. There's no doubts about they teach some really, really, really scummy stuff. They teach, it's weird because on one hand, they'll teach something that's really scummy, and on the other side, they'll teach something that's good for techs. And it just like, they contradict themselves so often. Is there any good in the world regards to indie owners? Can there be love in the world again for you? no, there is lots of good independent shop owners. You know, there is. And, you know, one of my Change the Industry did a podcast response to one of my videos. I was responding to a shop owner who is a good shop owner, and you know, he's been in any comment I give, you know, any video I do about shop owners being bad is, you know, he responds, you know, getting upset with me. And it's like, I'm not talking about good shop owners. If you don't do this stuff, you're not an ESO. You know, but I just got an email from a tech, you know, the other day, and he's getting treated like crap by his ESO, and he walked out. And I get a lot of messages like that where techs are being treated poorly by their ESOs. And, you know, in one response, I said, you know, I've done hundreds of videos calling out techs for being crappy, for not fixing the car, for not, you know, verifying their complaint, you know, for not being a good tech. And I've called out shop owners, and I've just been doing more of it lately because, well, when I did those videos, I got a lot more emails and messages about that kind of stuff. And it just kind of, it fuels the fire. So, you know, but no, I don't have any ill will towards my former boss. You know, he can do what he wants to do, and I don't care. I'm done with that place, and I don't have to go back, which is a good thing. And that was a long rant about that. Thanks, Chris. Renegade, I just used my coolant pressure tester today. Rich gives you some advice, Daniel. Adrian Sanchez, what do you think about Sunex tools? They're good. The ADV line from Matco is made by their parent company. They're made on the same line, on the same materials. I don't know, but I've used ADV extensively. They're good. So don't have any hesitation buying Sunex. Enoch, have you used the Electude simulator? It's a very good diagnostic trainer. You should stream your gameplay. I have not. I got free access to it at one point. But I never, at that point in my life, I really didn't have time, to really play it that much. If I'm going to stream my gameplay, it'd be Siege, Rainbow Six Siege, not a training simulator. Daniel, here's a short plus of being short, can crawl under dashboard things here, but I want to dash for a creeper so I don't kill my back. Yeah. Yeah. One of the best advices I can give you if you wind up doing dash work, take the seats out. Get you a long pad, take the seat out, and just lay in the vehicle. Saves your back a ton trying to go around. My fat butt don't fit around seats. So if I have to do any dash work, I usually take the seats out. Honda Doc, what's going on? Daniel BC, here's what I know about GM AC condensers on 2014 to 2019 Silverados go up because of faulty design and transmission due to the torque converter fluid. It's actually not a faulty design. It's actually a faulty braze or weld or whatever. It cracks at a joint. Yeah. Daniel BC, does any GM vehicles have a plastic top mounted screw on oil filter? Are you talking about canister filters? Yes. The 2.4s had them for as long as the 2.4s existed. Enoch, it'd be cool to see how you approach diagnosing and fixing an electrical issue. I don't know how well I would do not having the car in front of me. I'm very much a touchy-feely kind of person. You know, I've never, like I said, I've messed with it a little bit, but that was about it. You know, but it's many employers use a simulator for any candidate that's know how to do electrical diagnostics. Okay. You know, but, Chris, what'd you say? Oops. You know, it's I don't know. I don't know how effective I would be at it or not, or, you know, maybe it'd be easy. I don't know. Like I said, I only briefly played with it and I don't know how it's set up. I don't remember how it was set up because I got in there, did a couple things, and that was kind of the last time I touched it. I recommend do not replace rood shocks on your pickup without jack stands. That was a pain in the ass to put in the bottom bolt in. Yeah, because I kept yeah. Chris, I feel for you, my friend. I wish I could have made a better career path as a tech. I would smoke you in most ways as a shoulder to shoulder tech with no ego. LOL. A lot of people would. I you know, I you have the better travel of extra income as Google Ads. LOL. You stayed the course. You know, Daniel BC, fun fact, you know that what I like about the older GM trucks, Escalades EX T's extended fan wheelbase, the door panels will fit right up to a Silverado, so I got mine off a Denali XL. Yeah, you'd be surprised how much interchangeability is in manufacturers. They like using the same thing. I am an ESO. Well, okay, Chris. Oh. I don't know why you're you know, admitting you're an ESO means you can heal. I mean, it's you know, it's as people age, it's surprising how things change with them. So you never know. You might one day be a reformed ESO. It's just, you know. Yeah, I know, Chris. That's why I was giving you crap. But, you know, it's, you know, I talk about stuff in this industry and, you know, the thing that is the most glaring is when people that say they are not an ESO get pissed off at what I say. Like, really? You're taking this really personal if it doesn't pertain to you. Just saying, and maybe it's, a little personal pride or something like that with some of the comments I get, but I always find it hilarious when people get triggered. If it's something you don't do, why are you getting triggered? But, Chris says he has 9 employees and we have great fun all day. That's awesome. Chris Storback, LOI, would rather be wrenching. Some dummy tech mindset thinks they should be shop owners. Most ESOs inherit or buy a shop. Yes. No, I don't want to deal with admin. When it comes down to it, like people are like, why don't you have your own shop? And I don't want to deal with it. I don't want to be, sitting there at my computer doing, QuickBooks or, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, or spending, half my life looking at spreadsheets. I don't want to do that. That's why I don't want to own a shop. Because that's what ultimately a shop owner becomes, is he becomes somebody that has to stare at spreadsheets all day. And that is extremely boring to me. But yeah, no, I mean, that's, it's, people really don't understand, the how stressful owning a business can be. I mean, it just is, if, every shop owner, I'm sure Chris can attest to this, where you're, in the early stages or mid stages or even currently, that, when you're sitting there, trying to figure out how you're making payroll, that sucks. Believe me, been there, done that. It can be, much, cars aren't that hard, having to figure that kind of stuff out sucks. And it's not hard, even if you're very successful. Couple bad decisions and all of a sudden you're not as successful as you used to be. But anyway, I digress. As Chris says, diagnosing people, by the way, explicitly harder than cars. Yes. Yeah, I'll stick to cars. They're a lot more simple. People be crazy. All right. We got any more questions? Daniel, I heard GM36 burning oil is caused to piston rings and pistons being too small. The oil consumption, the early 3.6s had a bunch of problems. The newer ones, from my understanding and experience, have been much more better. But at the end of the day, it's the techs that do the thing, man. Yeah. No, I mean, that's why I think shop owners should have a much higher respect for technicians than they do. Or let me rephrase that, than some of them do. That wasn't meant to be sarcastic. It's true. There's shop owners that have great respect for their technicians and treat them well. There's others that honestly, they wish they could have the business without techs because they're just a, pain in the butt that they don't have any value for. Honorable mention, my Lisle 401 hub puller has been impressive and the best investment I've made lately. Have you come across this hidden nugget? Let me Google search that before I... Oh yeah, no, I don't own one. I don't use one generally. But yeah, I can see how that could be a huge advantage when it comes to stuff like that. Paulo, low tension piston rings is an industry-wide oil burner issue. Yes. I think part of the thing that GM did was they went away from low tension oil rings in the 3.6. But don't quote me on that. Oh, Daniel, that kind of sucks. All right, so we got any more questions? We got 43 people in here. We got any more tool questions? Any more want to trigger me ranting about ESOs? See if anybody else got any comments or anything. But yeah, low tension piston rings has been a bane of my existence. Chris, that is not a problem. It is literally not a problem. I mean, it's fun back and forth. He says he really appreciates everything I do. Been following you forever. I'm 8 years in business. I remember watching you way back. You are the light to the industry from Ohio. Thanks. I appreciate it, Chris. I try. The whole point of this channel was trying to help the industry and especially young technicians. So. Funny, is it true you hit a camera in a ladies' room for upskirt pictures? No. I don't have any interest in that. Daniel, the Chevy Avalanche is a Tahoe chassis. That should tell you something. Chris Storback, I wish Icon Harbor Freight was around when I started. I wish when I started there was a lot more options. It was a horrible time for tools back when I was starting out. CDTA Auto, when was the last time you overhauled a automatic transmission? Tech school. I realized that was definitely not one of my things, and I've gone into transmissions. I've replaced valve bodies and, modules and stuff like that. But I haven't professionally rebuilt a transmission. It's too much of a specialty. Don't have the proper tools, etc. Matt, thanks for your help over the years. Matt, I appreciate it. Daniel, for some reason, aftermarket mirrors, the glass breaks under the cold weather because they're cheap. Funny, I said a car, not a ladies' room. So do it in a car. Oh, funny. Craftsman was our Harbor Freight. Yes. Yes, it was. And unfortunately, some of it was not that good. True that, Rich. It was expensive, though. Video coming out tomorrow. Harbor Freight's Icon's not cheap. There's literally very similar tools you can buy cheaper. That's kind of tomorrow's video. Yard sales and repo bins. I did a lot of pawn shops, Chris. Back in the day, they knew me at all the pawn shops. I'd go in there, stop in there, look around what they had for tools, and would find any gem I could. My first 3/8 Impact, I bought at a pawn store. It was a Mac. Used it for years till I finally replaced it with the Snap-on Air Impact. That was a long time ago. OEM parts is the way, according to Matt. Yes. Especially body stuff. A lot of that stuff. Now, admittedly, his stuff might be old and might not be made by GM anymore. I don't know. But it's the quality between aftermarket and OEM is considerable, especially when it comes to body stuff. I unfortunately had to install a lot of mirrors and taillight assemblies that were aftermarket. And, you know, when you have to take a file to the hole where the bolt's supposed to go through because it doesn't line up. Renegade, yeah, the Icon smoke machine is $4.99, too much. Snap, the 3/8 air ratchet from Snap-on, metal body, OMG. Yeah, how many bruised knuckles did you get from that tool? I can tell you a lot. Yeah, young guys will never know. They will never know the joy of trying to figure out how to get your hand unstuck, because that kicked hard. Matt, some aftermarket stuff. Yeah, we were talking body stuff, though. Body stuff is considerably worse than Denso, ASN, or anything like that. Most of the stuff is, well, made at the same plant in China as far as the aftermarket's. Great memories, yeah. Yeah, I remember having my hand clamped in place, and the first attempt to get the air chuck off slipped, and then pinched my hand with the air coupler. That made it even better. Then I unclipped it and it was like, oh, Matt, I still have a Craftsman 3/8 Impact I bought in 2004, still works. My oldest air tools were given to young techs. So I don't have any of that kind of stuff. Like my Ingersoll Rand 244 was given to a young tech. My IR 231 with extended shank, I dropped it again and it finally broke. Broke the nipple off the bottom where it goes in, and I was like, I don't use this thing anymore. Letter or leather there, Daniel? Too many friendly people in a shop. Sure not to fit. Certifit. Sure not to fit, Charles. Yeah, that's a good one. Hello, the Red Army. Jake, I miss my tools. What happened to your tools, man? It's like crack. You can't let go of your crack. In a good way. I mean, friendly discourse. Yeah, all the best frenemies in the shop. Oh. All right, my throat is starting to really hurt. Oh, somebody broke into my storage locker and took all 4 of my pack toolboxes, my engine and trans from Japan, all gone. That sucks, man. Yeah, I thought you meant leather. Matt, Craftsman was never good air tools. Depends who made them. Omar, do you think Milwaukee will ever offer different colors? Very doubtful. Red is their color. Man, Jake, that sucks. I feel for you. IR and Snap-on. Chris, I will there's Snap-on has only made some good air tools. They've made a lot of bad air tools. No. But no, Milwaukee, their colors are red. Yeah, it's the Renegade. That's what I was saying. That's why I said that. It's because Craftsman didn't make anything, you know, just like Harbor Freight doesn't make anything. They're made by companies that make air tools. And, you know, over the years, they've had multiple suppliers for almost all of their tools. So, Jake, I appreciate that. It does suck, man, that have all your stuff sold. I've never had that level of stuff stolen. I had a toolbox stolen out of my pickup in Virginia when I worked for Motorvac, and that really sucked. Yeah, well, I'm still, Chris, I still have the remnants of the flu. So yeah, I think I'm gonna be calling this stream. I didn't figure I would go 2 hours tonight, so I figured I would go ahead and call it a night here. SM, yeah, Harbor Freight's been hitting it pretty hard with the Icon stuff. They've been very popular. Jake, well, 29,000 is better than nothing. Yeah, that sucks. So, all right, guys, I'm going to go ahead and call it a night so I can let my throat rest for tomorrow so I can talk again. I appreciate everybody stopping by. As always, thanks for watching. I am the Flat Rate Master.